What is going on, guys? Josiah LaRue here. So today we're going to be talking about Canon DSLRs. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about Canon DSLRs. Now, I actually picked up a Canon T3i to start filming for my YouTube channels. Now this was almost 11 months ago-ish, and I never did a video on it. So I thought, hey, let's do a review of my video setup and see what equipment that I use. As I said, my backbone and my main camera that I am recording all of my YouTube stuff on right now is a Canon T3i, which I picked up around the holiday season last year, and overall it has served me very, very well. I really like it. It's got a very good aperture rate, and it has a lot of settings, and then with Magic Lantern I've been able to tweak it a little bit more, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, so let's talk about the Canon T3i. What are some specs? Is it a good YouTube camera? Or maybe not. Let's talk about it. So the camera that I use is the Canon T3i, or the Canon 600D known internationally. It's the same body, and it's overall a pretty good camera. It has an APS-C sensor with an 18 megapixel resolution, so it takes some pretty good photos as well as good video. It has a native ISO of 1 to 6400, and it has an extended ISO of 1 to 12,000, so a pretty good range. It has a variable shutter speed of 1 to 4,000ths of a second to 30 seconds, so you can have some very extended or very quick shots through the shutter. With the standard body, standard kit lens, and battery, it weighs about 2.5 pounds. Add on extra accessories like mics, larger lenses or whatever, you'll be pushing around 3 pounds, which really isn't that bad for the type of camera that it is. So yeah, overall a very good DSLR. Kind of mid-range to low range. There's certainly better options out there for more money, but for a great camera that's good at point and shoot, as well as taking great photos and is easy to use, I really like the T3i. Probably one of the biggest features that I thought was really nice was the flip out screen. Now on lower models the screen does not flip out and rotate. On the T3i it does, so I can rotate it around and be looking at myself in a live preview while I'm recording, which is really nice for getting myself lined up when I'm taking these shots. Absolutely love it. Now if I'd spent a little bit more money, I would probably go with the T5i, which has a few additional features and a little bit better resolution, particularly in low light. But for the money that I had available at the time, the T3i was the great deal, and I do enjoy it. It's a really great camera. Now initially I bought this thing basically just to record video on it, but now that I have had more time, I've been able to do some photography on it as well, and now that I'm learning how to do manual settings and all that, I really enjoyed taking photographs with this thing too. So how do I use my camera setup? Well, right now I have my standard stock 18 to 55 millimeter lens on it, because for most YouTube videos I'm shooting stuff fairly close range, so I basically back it off to about 20 and stand in front of it and start recording. Now originally I was just using the stock microphone on the camera, and that actually does decent audio as long as you don't have lots of wind noise or lots of interference or other background noise that's annoying, because it's hard to filter that stuff out. Recently I have purchased a Tacker boom mic, which I will be showing here, and it's about $15 from Amazon, $20, and despite being so cheap, it has very good ratings, and I've been actually decently impressed. It is a foam covered shotgun mic, and directionally it picks up the audio very, very well. Even from distances I've been able to get a lot better audio than I used to with this mic, so I've been very impressed with it. Another purchase that I made later on is a Canon EFS 55 to 200 millimeter extended range zoom lens that has image stabilization, and I must say I absolutely love this lens. I wish this lens was an 18 to 55 as well. One, it's silent, so when you're focusing, it doesn't make the automatically focuses zero noise. It is so smooth and so nice. The zoom lens 455 to 200 is great for when I want to take extended range photos. And even with the 55, I mean, I've done a fair amount of just standing back a little bit farther and using 55 as its regular aperture. So you can still get a decent amount if you stand back farther. That's the only thing, is you just got to be back farther to get everything in frame. But if I want to zoom in and pick up stuff really far away, the telephoto lens is really nice. One day I would like to get a 10 to 18 millimeter lens, and those are good for when you're doing larger panoramic shots or trying to get more in focus. I want to do more action shots and movies and stuff with this DSLR, and in order to do that I wanted to do wide range, not quite panoramic, but get a lot of people and video in frame. So that's where the 10 to 18 millimeter comes in handy, because you can get a lot more wide angle into the sensor. Additionally, I have bought a glide cam kind of knockoff. It's $200 instead of the $400 or $600 that glide cams naturally are. So you do trade off a little bit of the smoothness. You do trade off some of the little bit of the ease of use. Unfortunately, you can't shoot it upside down unless you're constantly holding it. It doesn't balance upside down; it only balances upright. But I've gotten decently good at using it, and overall, I do enjoy being able to walk and move and shoot with my DSLR and not have issues with bumpiness and stuttering. It also makes for a really nice tripod because it has the quick detach sled, so I can quick slide it on, adjust it to the height that I want, shoot, and then slide it back off and put it back in my bag. So that is pretty darn cool. A few other things I picked up for my camera are a couple additional third-party batteries and a third-party battery charger, so that way I can have multiple batteries to swap in and out and keep on shooting on the go without having to wait to charge up. Because when you buy the T3i from Canon, you get the 1855mm stock lens, you get one battery, you get a strap and the camera. So I bought an additional 2 batteries, and so I can keep on swapping them out and shooting as I go. You don't need to buy specific Canon batteries. There are plenty of third-party ones which are basically the exact same battery, just branded under a different company, that work just as good, and they're about half the price on Amazon. Prime shipping, 2 days to your door, and you can keep on shooting. So those are the main things that I bought for my camera. I have my 2 different lenses, I have my shotgun mic, I have my tripod, I have additional batteries, battery charger, and the handheld stabilizer. Basically a glide cam ripoff, but cheaper and more affordable. So now I'll kind of show you guys my YouTube setup. So I am standing facing my DSLR camera, and I have my shotgun mic above and the viewfinder so that I can see exactly what I'm doing and if I'm in frame or not. I have a couple of LED light boxes pointing at the walls and above me to kind of give me that nice white light. I've learned through trial and error and a lot of reading that you don't want to use regular incandescent bulbs because those are going to provide more of a yellow light. Then you're going to image correct that. Picked a black background, so it's more of a muted, just out of the way backgrounds, and so that I try and pick brighter shirts so I kind of pop and stand out against the background. Mic was definitely important to get better audio, and I mainly shoot on my glide cam because it's got a decently large base and it's then adjustable, and it's easier to get on and off with the quick release plate than it is to put it on my tripod. So that's mainly why I shoot. I also have a monitor behind so that I can view articles and stuff without having to really look away from the camera, and that's my setup. For B-roll and other stuff, I'll simply slide the camera off the sled and start shooting with my 18-55 normally because I want to get close-up shots, and then edit all that in over this main footage in Premiere Pro. I do use Adobe Premiere Pro CS6. I've been using that and CS5 for pretty much my entire YouTube career, and there's a lot to it. Adobe Premiere has a little bit higher of a learning curve, but there is so many features there that you can do really a lot with it, and that's why I like it, the features and stuff. Now, I did mention Magic Lantern earlier, and I'm just going to go into a brief overview of it. Basically, what Magic Lantern is a bunch of developers online had developed third-party firmware for Canon DSLRs, basically allowing you to unlock a lot of additional features and tweaks on your camera that you aren't normally able to do. Basically allowing you to customize and get more fine-tuning and better image and video quality out of your camera than Canon normally allows you to do. I've just barely gotten into this. I've only recently loaded Magic Lantern onto my camera, so I'm still trying to figure out the tweaks and additional things you can do. Probably one of the coolest things I've got was a audio recording bar, so I can see on my live preview how high I'm talking and if I'm going to be peaking the microphone or not, which is pretty good, so I can then adjust my own personal volume. Additional things allow you to change sensor aperture and time for shutter speed and zoom and light quality and audio quality and so much more. If you guys want to check it out, I will include a link in the description down below. Magic Lantern doesn't cover all Canon DSLRs, but a good majority of the very popular ones. Now note that if you do this and you do it wrong and it screws up your camera, they cannot be held legally liable, and Canon probably won't warranty it because you were messing with the firmware. So just be careful, there is that risk, but if you do everything properly, follow Magic Lantern's instructions, you should be fine. Basically, you just load this custom firmware on your SD card and leave it on there at all times, and then update your camera's firmware from the SD card. Then it'll start running, and you just open it up by hitting the delete button, and then you'll see a bunch of extra fancy menus and you can mess around with it. So Magic Lantern is a cool little program I've installed on my camera, allowing me a little bit of additional functionality. It's not for everyone, particularly if you're just a regular point and shoot person. I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you've done a lot of reading and know what you're getting into. But for those who want to get a little bit more out of their DSLR, check out Magic Lantern. Now, I'm not really going to be able to give you guys a very in-depth review on the T3i. While I have had it for about 10 to 11 months, I haven't really dived into everything it's capable of. As I said, mainly I use this thing for video, and now I'm just starting to get into using it for photography as well. So I don't feel I'm really quite utilizing it to its full potential quite yet, but for what I've used it for so far, I really enjoyed it. Some downsides, I will say, taking pictures, it is quite loud. Like, the shutter snap is very loud and kind of annoying. The stock 18-55mm lens is very loud when I'm focusing. That's really kind of annoying. It is a tad heavy, but that's just because it is a DSLR, and when I throw on extra accessories it does get heavier. So that's why I normally carry it on my stabilizer or on my tripod, just so that I don't have to be hand carrying it around. But to be fair, when I'm hand carrying around, it's really not that heavy, so I do enjoy that. As I said, the rotatable LCD screen is great, so that I can view what I'm shooting at pretty much any angle, facing me or facing back at different angles, which is great for when I'm running gunning. And yeah, the manual, I'm just starting to get into that, taking photos with completely manual settings, adjusting aperture, adjusting frame rate, adjusting ISO. But I can say that it does take very good photos. Went out and shot the lunar eclipse about a month ago when that came out, and got some very good photos out of that, so I was very impressed with the low light capabilities of this camera. If you guys want a full review, I'll include a link in the description down below. People have done online reviews of this thing. This camera is not new. It's been out for a couple years now. So if you want a full technical review of that, check out the link in the description down below of someone who actually knows what they're doing when they're talking about cameras. So yeah, guys, that's been my YouTube setup. A T3i, basic stock lens, shotgun mic, lighting, and a background, and basically just talking to a camera, sharing my experiences, my thoughts, and my technical knowledge, as well as the tech that I use. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know this is a little bit different, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of what I use, as well as just talking about a product that I use, recommend, and enjoy. So yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment box down below, what do you think of my camera? Do you have a T3i? Do you use it? What is another camera that you would recommend for shooting YouTube videos on? Also, what do you think of my setup and the accessories that I have? Let me know in the comment box down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Remember, you can check out last week's video right here and what I talked about right here. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my videos. Check me out on social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!